Sup, guys? It's Toad back with you yet again. This is going to be Better Off Dead Saturday, May 10th. Yesterday, 4-4 on the show for a slight loss, which I'm not totally happy with, obviously, as we had a mixed bag. I think 2-3 in MLB yesterday, and then we had as MLB totals just aren't doing that well for me, man, unfortunately, because I got two more today, so they better start turning it around. The playoffs have been pretty decent. I mean, after a really good run to start the playoffs in both NHL and NBA, hit kind of a lull, but we're moving along as the Cleveland Cavs got there yesterday. A pretty easy win, really. If you laid any price with the Cavs, they won it. Florida, unfortunately, did not win in regulation. They had the lead in the third period, wound up going into overtime, and they won in overtime. Very, very frustrating when you have a team to win in regulation and they win in overtime. It's like you had the right side, man. You feel like you should have gotten it right. I hated that, and I'm going to go back to the well and have another one today, so we'll see what happens with that. Winnipeg did win, so the hockey plays were 1-1 for a slight loss, unfortunately. Then we had Cubs-Mets under, did not happen. Miami did not happen. Those were the two losses, so it was looking like a bad day, but then most of the rest of the plays hit, so we did get Houston correct on the Astros. Miami, by the way, the Marlins, that was a tied game 2-2 in the seventh inning, so but Max Meyer was actually still in the game at that point, and maybe they should have given him the hook a little bit before that. I think if they did that, Miami might have been able to win that game. Very unfortunate. Houston Astros did win in a shutout, like I said. Toronto, Seattle did not go under. There were just too many runs scored early by Toronto, and of course, I was right about the Toronto side. So isn't that just great? The play that I didn't make on the game, Toronto 5 runs in the first 3 innings or something, and the game is just out of hand at that point already. If that hadn't happened, that game would have gone under because the rest of the game was not high scoring. And then Yankees A's, that was looking like it was going to be bad. It was 4-0 into the 6th, 7th inning, whatever. And then the Yankees just exploded late, just wrecked the A's bullpen, and the game wound up 10-2. So that game did go over. So we hit that one. Let me delete all of this. I should have been deleting them as I was talking about them, all the banners that I have in here. And then we'll talk about today's games. I have a smaller card today with 1 basketball play, 1 hockey play, and 4 Major League Baseball plays. Let's share the screen, man. Let's get to it. Let's get right into it. The game that I don't even want to talk about up first, the Boston Celtics against the New York Knicks. You know what I'm doing already, man. I'm going to lay the points of the Boston Celtics, -5.5. I don't even want to call them my Boston Celtics anymore because after what they've done these last 2 games, play their worst 2 games of the season, both back-to-back in the playoffs at home, pretty much unacceptable, man. I think some of it comes down to coaching. I've been a fan of Joe Mazzulla, man. I wasn't a fan when they first got him. I liked Ime Udoka. I didn't think Udoka should have been fired. Very good defensive coach. Mazzulla, I mean, they win a championship with him. He says a bunch of hilarious stuff. I kind of like him in that respect, but man, the Celtics team, you just cannot beat just jacking up threes like this when you're winning the game by 20 points. You got to not take, they're taking shots immediately when they get the possession. What are you doing? You're up 20 points. Take time off the clock, slow it down, drive to the basket, pick up fouls, do what normal NBA teams are going to do. That's why the Celtics lost these games, man. It's not like the Knicks match up well against the Celtics. They do not. As the Celtics, before these 2 games, the Celtics had won 8 of the last 9 games against the Knicks. They'd totally destroyed Anunoby, which he had 1 huge game in this series and then 1 awful game. Tatum has historically wrecked the Knicks, and he's been bad in both games, just horrible shooting percentages. And then Porzingis, of course, had an illness, which dropped him out of game 1, and then he came off the bench in game 2. So I don't even know if we're going to see Porzingis be back to full strength here or not, or get his full complement of minutes. Hopefully so, because Porzingis also has destroyed the Knicks since he's been on the Celtics. So you need Tatum to actually play better, which I think is certainly going to happen. And Porzingis better get involved here, man. But I think the Celtics, they got to win this game, man. I mean, this is embarrassing. I mean, obviously, if they lose this game, it's pretty much over, even though the Celtics tried to come back when they were down 0-3 against the inferior Miami Heat a couple of years ago. But look, man, if the Celtics lost that series against Miami 2 years ago, despite being a huge home favorite in the series, and then they do it again in this series, Missoula should be out of here. He should be fired. I'm sorry, but there's no excuse for it other than that. I mean, other than coaching, because you got the personnel for it. It's ridiculous. But the Celtics, they're down 0-2, but they've dominated the series. I don't think I've ever seen a team dominate 2 games the way that they have and lose both games. The Celtics had a 20-point lead in the third quarter in both games. The Celtics have led for, I think I said it was like 90 minutes. I think they've actually led for 82 out of the 96 minutes of game time so far. And the Knicks have only led for 12 minutes or something. And it was tied for like 2 minutes. So the Celtics have been ahead for almost the entirety of the game time in these 2 games. You know who the better team is. And the Celtics, who typically shoot 38% from 3, rarely shoot below 30%. They've only shot below 30% from 3-point range, I think 7 times this entire season, and they've done it in both games in this series, which is ridiculous. And against the Knicks, they've actually shot better. The Knicks don't defend the 3 well. This is not a very good defensive Knicks team, man. So I know I've been saying they're a decent defensive team. They're really not very much so. This just doesn't make any sense so far, man. What you're looking at is a series where you had the 2 biggest outliers in the first 2 games that you've ever seen. Bigger than the Cavs losing both of their games, although that was also really, really big, and bigger than the Thunder losing their first game, which, by the way, I'm kind of mad because I was right about the Nuggets last night as well. I kind of wish I had money on that. I stayed away from that one, but the Nuggets won in overtime. But basically, for the Celtics to have lost both their first 2 games, Cleveland to have lost both of their first games, and Oklahoma City to lose their first game, those 5 outcomes all happening, it was probably like, I don't know, like a 0.2% chance that was going to happen. It's just totally insane. We've seen so many outliers here. Celtics obviously are the better team as they're laying points here. They're up from 4.5 to 6 with juice now, so the line is moving up and up on the Celtics. I was able to find a 5.5. Not a huge difference between 5.5 and 6, so do what you want there. I mean, I know there are some guys that play basketball, like professional bettors, that will buy half points because they think that a half point, usually they'll do it buying, I think, off of the 3 and off of the 5, basically down to like 2.5 and 4.5, I think is what they do, but I'm not even sure. I forget what it is. Bill Krakenberger has talked about this, one of the greatest handicappers that's out there right now. It's not something that I dabble in, but these guys are like, yeah, it's actually advantageous to pay like minus 120 to get that extra half point or something in basketball. Like it's actually worth that amount of money. I don't really do that. But anyway, the Celtics, yeah, they are public, which kind of surprises me. You'd think the Knicks would be public here after everything that we've seen the first 2 games. Everybody's just basically saying Celtics suck, Celtics are dead, whatever. If the Celtics actually play the way that they normally play, they should be handling the series. 73% of tickets though on the Celtics. Not sure if that's accurate. 54% of the cash. Whatever the case is, I'm laying the points with the Celtics. Charles, what's up, man? Good to see you. You missed it last night. I mean, the Celtics did lose, like I said, the 3 in a row 2 years ago against Miami. I was at game 2 of that series thinking, oh, this is a good game to go to. The Celtics are going to bounce back. That did not happen. And the Celtics had a double-digit lead in the first 2 games in that series as well. And in the third game, they got absolutely destroyed. And then they won the next 3 games. Had a game 7 at home, and who was it? Jason Tatum, I think, got hurt on the very first play of the game, and then that was basically it. It was over for them. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, Missoula should be gone. He got the job because he was an assistant coach, and he was an assistant coach with the Celtics, and he's from the Boston area originally. Yeah, you almost caught my evening show, which it was an early evening show for East Coasters, though. So I just came in after I got back, and I just finished it off. Finished them off, man. Talking about baseball there. All right. So anyway, and Missoula, of course, he is a former player as well, so he gets respect, from players for that reason because he played, at West Virginia. I don't know if he played in the NBA or not. And then we got T-Wolves Warriors. This is a difficult game to handicap, man. T-Wolves are up from 5 to 5.5 with juice now. So, a lot of that is because Curry is not playing. Curry, it seems like he's going to miss at least this game plus the next game or two, which is pretty devastating for the Warriors when you have one of the best players in NBA history going down like this. I think the series is probably going to be just about over. The T-Wolves are going to advance here. Will they win this game? I'm not entirely sure. Up from 5 to 5.5 with juice. So they're having to go out to the West Coast, man. So this is the Warriors coming back home. And the Warriors are going to be motivated because they just got annihilated in game 2. So that was the first game. Curry got hurt in the middle of game 1. I think it's a hamstring injury, by the way. Then he didn't play in game 2, which I was hesitant to play the T-Wolves in game 2, even though it was a good zigzag spot for the T-Wolves in game 2 after losing game 1 at home. You knew the T-Wolves had to show up to try to win that game, but I was a little bit worried that the Warriors are going to show up as well and play hard in the injured player spot with Curry out. They didn't do particularly well. So now that it's a 1-1 series going back to Golden State, I could see Golden State putting in a really monster performance here after they got embarrassed basically in the previous game. Golden State actually also pulled their starters earlier in that game than the T-Wolves did because the T-Wolves were trying to finish the game off. Kerr basically waved the white flag and he pulled his starters out early. So really, I think only Butler and one other guy played more than 30 minutes in the game for the Warriors. Warriors actually used every player on their roster except for Curry in the game. So the Warriors actually are a little bit more rested here. And they're definitely going to be tough at home, man. So I don't know which way this is going to go because the zigzag would say that the Warriors are the right side. And yes, the T-Wolves are laying a ton of points, so there might be some value on the Warriors because all of that, is maybe just factoring in the Curry injury too much. But the Warriors might start really getting fatigued here, man, even though, like I said, they did kind of play the rest game in the last game, so maybe not. But this Warriors team, I mean, they're kind of an aging team, man, and a little bit of a thin roster, so I don't know that they're really going to be able to get through this. T-Wolves are indeed the better team, but I'll stay away in this spot. I would still slightly lean to the Warriors just getting all these points at home in the zigzag spot in this spot, but it's not going to be a play. 63% of tickets, 70% of the cash coming in on the T-Wolves, who are up from 5 to 5.5 with juice, like I said. So take from all of that what you will. Andrew, what's up, man? Yeah, that's all right. I mean, if you find it interesting, though, that means that I'm doing well, I guess. I don't know. Well, thank you, Charles. I haven't been doing that well, though. Last year was a slight loss, and this year, just March was so bad, dude, that I don't know if I'll be able to overcome it because everything else has been fine. I mean, I think I'm still up. I was up in April. I think I'm a little bit down in March or not May right now, excuse me. But usually I have maybe 2 or 3 losing months throughout the course of the year, maybe 3 to 4, but never as bad as March was. So it's really derailed me. But this is the time of year that I usually do pretty well. Hopefully we can get back to it. The early hockey game here, Washington, Carolina. This series is tied 1-1. Washington and Carolina. I'm going to go with Carolina here, man. Even though they're a big favorite, they have actually dominated both games in the series so far. So I think the loss in game 2 was a little bit misleading. But, of course, you don't want to lay minus 228 or whatever with Carolina up from minus 180 to minus 228. But the money is coming in on them. 70% of tickets, 87% of the cash. I agree with it. I think the public's going to tend to want Washington, especially after they saw Washington win a game. They're going to see this and think, oh, my God, Washington, the best record in the East, and we're getting them as an underdog again here. Yeah, but the odds makers are telling you Carolina is the significantly better team here, and I agree, and they have more experience doing this, man, because they've made playoff runs the last couple of seasons. So Carolina knows what they're doing, and I'm going to bump this price down, even though I know it didn't work for me last night in the Eastern Conference, but I'm doing it again. I'm going to play Carolina to win in regulation, minus 130. I think they should be able to get it done, man. Like I said, they've actually dominated both games in the series. They won game 1. And if you look at the stats, you can see that it was just basically domination for Carolina. I mean, look at the amount of shots in game 1 was 33-14 in favor of them, despite being on the road. They had more hits and 55.6% of the faceoffs won. So they had the possession edge as well. And then in game 2, they lost 3-1. Game 1 shouldn't have even been as close as the score was. Game 2, they also had more shots and more hits, and the face-off percentage was even. And they wound up losing the game. It was a close game in the end, man. Carolina was only down 2-1 into the final minute, and the last goal was an empty net goal. So 3-1, a little bit misleading there for them as well. The Caps are also really, really good at home, 26-9-6 at home. Carolina really bad on the road, actually 16-21-4. So this could be a very home-centric series, but Carolina already took one of the games on the road, and now they're at home, where Carolina is 31-9-1 at home, even though, yes, the Caps do have a good road record as well. But Carolina's been basically dominant at home, so they are very, very good at home. So I want Carolina to bounce back from the loss. They're playing where they play their best, at home. Give me Carolina to win in regulation, so you don't have to pay as much of a price on that. I think the money is agreeing with me on that. And then you got Vegas, Edmonton, which I will say, man, the reason that Vegas lost game 2, which I'm pissed about it because I was on Vegas, they lost because of penalties. They had way more penalty minutes than Edmonton did, even though you'd think they would get a little bit of home cooking there on their home ice. That did not happen. Vegas is a team that's been quite good this year at home. Can't believe that they lost both games at home. So that was kind of the handicap there, playing. And they were really good off a loss, too, and really good in revenge spots. So I can't believe they lost that game, man. And they lost in overtime. And if you saw the game, I didn't see it, but I saw the highlights afterwards. So I didn't complain about it the day after it happened, but I'm going to complain about it now. Why did Vegas lose that game? Because they took a 5-minute major in overtime, which is basically a death sentence. You cannot take a 5-minute penalty, man, to be shorthanded for 5 minutes in the overtime period. Like, you're going to lose the game. Like, it's almost impossible to kill that penalty off. And Vegas actually did kill it off. But then Edmonton scored. I believe they killed it off. And then Edmonton scored right after that because Vegas was just so tired from killing the penalty and being shorthanded. Edmonton, just Canadian teams, they all blend together, man. That Edmonton wound up with a 2-on-1 breakaway with it was with McDavid and Draisaitl, I'm pretty sure, who are their two best scorers. So you know what's going to happen there. Vegas loses the game. So now Vegas is down 0-2, having to go to Edmonton. It does look like a spot where you should play Vegas again, man, because they've been better in the series than what the series records indicate. They've been better than an 0-2 team so far. And, you know, when a team goes down 0-2, it's like total desperation mode. You're getting Vegas as an underdog here, which is probably a decent spot to be looking towards them. I just don't think I can do it, man, because Edmonton is actually pretty good at home. It's kind of a travel spot for Vegas, going up to unfamiliar territory here. Edmonton, of course, does have the experience, although both teams have experience. But Edmonton was in the finals last year. They're up they got 70% of tickets, 85% of the cash on them. Although the line's down from -130 to -123. I would lean Vegas here to zigzag this thing again because I think they've been better than they look so far in the series, but I just can't do it, man. And Edmonton, they have scored so many goals in the third period and the playoffs so far that, like, they're basically never out of the game because they can score so much, even though I think their goaltending is still a concern, as is their defense. And I think Vegas does have the upper hand in those respects, but I just can't do it. So not going to play that one. MLB, let's go. Let's try to get through this here. AJ Smith-Shawver pitching for the Braves in the first game up, which I'm used to like earlier Saturday games now. Now Saturday, as of like the last few years, these Saturday games all start later at 4:05 p.m. Eastern. Atlanta at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, I should have played them yesterday, man, because it was a fired coach spot. Pittsburgh fired their manager before last night's game, and they won the game last night against the Braves. So again, that's an angle that you can lose. You can lose as well, but you can use more often than not. You win rather than lose because you get a team that has like their manager or their coach fired. It works in like any sport. And if the team didn't like that guy, they play better and they want to prove that it was not their fault and that it was the coach or manager's fault. So they play better for that reason too. So it sparks the team a bit. Pittsburgh got the win yesterday. I'm not so sure that they won't do it again here, man, and continue to ride that wave. Smith-Shawver, I know he looked really good in his last game, and I got caught playing against him in that game, and he had an 8-inning, one-hit shutout against Cincinnati. But the problem is that was his best start of his career, and he had only thrown 59 pitches to start before that, and then he goes 99 pitches in this game, which he only threw over 90 one other time this year. So throwing 100 pitches in an 8-inning, one-hit performance for a pitcher that's not used to that. I think you're going to see some regression out of him. And there was a red flag in that game. He walked 4 guys and struck out 5, so not a good strikeout walk ratio. So I think Smith-Shawver could actually regress a little bit here, even though Pittsburgh has never seen him before. So I do always say young pitchers do have a little bit of an advantage against hitters that haven't seen them before. But Andrew Heaney has actually pitched pretty well this season, a 1.11 whip, 3.18 ERA. He's obviously the way more experienced pitcher, and he's kind of going to be in bounce back mode, I think, after 2 bad starts against 2 good offenses in the Cubs and San Diego. So he's, I think, going to be in a little bit of a bounce back spot here. And against Atlanta, he's done well in his career, 49 at bats, 204 average, allowed 489 OPS. So lean would probably be to Pittsburgh again in this one. You got Atlanta being very public, though, and the line has gone way up on Atlanta from -145 to -160. Yes, Atlanta does have the better offense, of course, and probably the better bullpen, as Pittsburgh is not good in either of those respects. 83% of tickets, 85% of the cash coming in on Atlanta. I think you're laying way too much of a price with Atlanta, though, even though Atlanta is definitely a better team than their record would indicate. I mean, they had a rough start to the season. They were dealing with some injuries and stuff. They're a much, much better team than their record would tell you, but I think this is way too much of a price to lay in a spot like this, even though it is a bounce back spot for Atlanta. So I'll stay away from that. St. Louis, Washington. St. Louis destroyed Washington 10-0 last night. You got Andre Pallante going for St. Louis, and he's not pitching well. 1.53 whip, 4.75 ERA. None of that is good. 21-16 strikeout walk ratio is terrible. Very low strikeout rate. High walk rate, bad strikeout walk ratio, more than 1 hit allowed per inning. None of that is good. And he's actually been bad against Washington, too, even though they're not a great hitting team. 22 at-bats, 318 average, 739 OPS. So I would not want to put my money on Pallante here, man. But on the other side, you got Trevor Williams and then the Washington bullpen, who is the worst bullpen in the major leagues. So do you really want to have anything to do with Washington here either? I don't think so. 5.86 ERA, 1.61 whip for Williams. Terrible numbers. Strikeout walk rate really aren't that bad, but he's allowed a ton of hits. 11 more hits than innings pitched, basically. I mean, that's just bad. That's way too hittable. Against St. Louis, he's been mediocre. In 50 at-bats, he does have a 14-0 strikeout walk ratio against them, which is quite good. And a 240 batting average allowed, also not bad. 720 OPS, a little bit on the higher side, but his numbers in the matchup are actually better than Pallante's. So as crazy as it sounds, I would lean to Washington in this game, but there's no way that I would want Washington's bullpen here. So I think they're going to be a little bit angry after a 10-0 game. I think St. Louis is going to be a little bit complacent after the 10-0 game. And you can see Washington's flip from a +103 dog to a -105 favorite. So I agree with Washington, but I would not want any part of their bullpen, man. I almost never do. So Washington, first 5 innings would be the way that I would go in this game just to win the starting pitching matchup, even though even that seems crazy. You want to put your money on Trevor Williams? Oh, my God. 62% of tickets and only 58% of the cash on St. Louis. So it's one of these situations where you got a public road, almost underdog at this point. So it's almost always advantageous to go against that team. So I think the lean is definitely to the Washington side there. And again, I mean, I wouldn't tell you to not do it full game necessarily, although you really got to be worried about Washington's bullpen. First 5 innings, I think, would be the way to look again, like I said. And the bullpen rest situation is also in favor of St. Louis because Fedde actually threw a complete game shutout last night in this game. So in this series. So that's what we're looking at here. Next up, I'm going to go with a square play here, but I think it's the right side. I'm going to play the Yankees, even though they won easily last night. I think we can get it again here. Yankees have the better bullpen, and the bullpen usage last night was about the same. And I think we have a big matchup edge here with Carlos Rodon, who I think still continues to get shit on, but he's got a 2.96 ERA and 0.92 whip. Very good numbers. I've been telling you, this guy is nowhere near as bad as he looks. Had a stretch where he gave up a decent amount of runs in 3 straight games against Arizona, Detroit, San Francisco. And none of those teams are really that bad. And right now, he's on, man. He's on top of it. And yes, I know this is a bad pitching environment in the A's stadium, but that affects both pitchers here, man. Rodon has 57 strikeouts and 48 2/3. Yes, he's walked too many guys, and that is his main problem, is his wildness. He has a really, really high strikeout rate. His walk rate is too high. which is pretty typical, man. You see that a lot with pitchers. He actually doesn't give up a lot of fly balls, which is good. He gets a lot of ground balls and a lot of strikeouts, so that's good when you're pitching in a like a home run friendly park like this. And he's only allowed 25 hits and 48 2/3. So that's really, really good. He's not allowing a lot of hits at all. And against the A's in his career, 48 at bats, 250 average, 627 OPS. He's been pretty good against these A's hitters. Not like dominant, but pretty good against them. JP Sears, on the other hand, he's a guy the Yankees traded away. So one angle that you could also look at, which, by the way, came up the other day, and I forgot to mention it. There's an angle in baseball where when you get a starting pitcher facing the team that got rid of them for the first time, they tend to step it up just to prove like, hey, you shouldn't have gotten rid of me, even though that team will be familiar with what that pitcher throws. But it happened the other day with Kikuchi because he was pitching for Anaheim against Toronto. And I think Anaheim did win that game, even though it was close. But Kikuchi, I think, might have stepped it up for that. Sears was traded away by the Yankees, but he has already faced the Yankees since then, and it hasn't been good for him. He is pitching really well this year, for sure. 2.93 ERA, 1 whip, but he's already faced the Yankees, like I said, hasn't done well. I mean, his numbers are actually really good this year. 32-6 strikeout walk ratio, 34 hits allowed in 40 innings. So why do I want to fade him here? Well, I mean, he's faced a lot of bad offenses. I mean, let's look at this. Colorado, even though he had to face some in Coors Field, which is not that easy, but they're still not a good offense. Seattle, White Sox, Texas twice, and Miami. The only good offense Sears has faced this year was the Mets, and he didn't do well against them. And now he's facing one of the top offenses in baseball in the Yankees. So I think even though his numbers are good, yes, and it is impressive, I think that he's going to suffer a little bit of regression here. And also, we're talking about him pitching in this home run friendly park here, and he allows a lot of fly balls, way more than Rodon does. 72 fly balls to 49 ground balls and 32 strikeouts. His fly ball rate is higher as well. And against the Yankees in 12 at-bats, I know not everybody has seen him, but he's allowed a 406 average, 4 home runs, and 32 at-bats. 5 walks, 7 strikeouts. Those numbers are all terrible, and it's 4 different batters have hit home runs. So 5 Yankees hitters have seen him before, and 4 of them have homered off him in that few at-bats. That's insane. 406 average allowed him 1,330 OPS. So Sears, terrible numbers against the Yankees hitters. I think he is going to regress, and the money is actually the money line has actually been driven up a little bit from -148 to -156. Although we're joining the public here, and I know I did it yesterday and got caught with the Marlins, but I just think this is the right side, man. I actually think Rodon is the better pitcher in this matchup here. 94% of tickets and 93% of the cash. So we're playing on a very, very public Yankees team, so I'm a little bit worried about that, but I still think it is the right side, although it might be my weakest play out of all of them. Yeah, you say Kikuchi. Maybe he's a little bit of a pussy. I don't know. Milwaukee and Tampa Bay. I mean, this is one of the hardest games on the slate to handicap. With Tobias Myers, who's a guy who pitched well last year in his rookie campaign, and I liked what he did last year, and this year has not been good for him. 3.65 ERA looks good, but a 1.54 whip is terrible. He's putting way too many men on base, man. 7 walks to 8 strikeouts, not good. It's a small sample size, though, 12 1/3 so far, and he did have a decent start against Houston his last time out, so he might be sort of rounding back into form again here. So we don't know what we're going to get out of him, man. And Morel is the only hitter on Tampa who's ever seen him before. He's 2 for 4 off him with a home run and a walk. So he has done pretty well against Myers. The rest of Tampa, their hitters have not seen Myers before. So this is tough to gauge, man. It's really, really tough to figure out what you think Myers is going to do in this game. And this is a fairly hitter-friendly park as well in George Steinbrenner Stadium, spring training stadium here. On the other side, Taj Bradley, his whip is pretty bad as well. 1.33, not great at all. 4.43 ERA is pretty mediocre as well. 30-18 strikeout walk ratio. He's walking too many guys, and he's not allowing many hits, but he doesn't strike out a ton of guys, and his walk rate is bad. So he's not doing well, and it is a pretty big red flag when in 3 of his last 4 starts, he's had more walks than strikeouts. Granted, 2 of those starts are against the Yankees. Still not really anything to write home about there at all. Milwaukee hasn't seen him before. So now what you have here is You got two pitchers that are completely unfamiliar with the opposing lineups, basically, which should be a little bit of an advantage to those pitchers. But when these pitchers are pitching not very well so far, I really kind of have to dial it back and kind of hesitate a little bit to think that, oh, that means like we're looking at an under situation here. I'm not so sure about that. Like the old me might be like, oh, I want to play the under here, and maybe it still will go under, but the money's kind of going both ways here. I mean, you do see 82% of the cash on the under, 79% of tickets on the over. So the cash disparity is way on the under here. The line has moved up a little bit from 9.5 juice to the over to a straight 9.5, but that could be because of some like false movement early on where like guys, professional bettors want to get this thing under 9.5 if they're going to play the under. So they might have played the over at smaller amounts to try to drive the line up like a fake move and then come back in on the under. That might be what we're seeing here. So I would read more into that cash percentage there than I would the movement, but I don't like it, man. I don't want to try to get involved with those two pitchers being very hard to predict. I am going to play on the Cleveland Indians, though, plus 106. You're getting them as a home underdog, and I actually like how this sets up. Philadelphia, they lost yesterday, which I kind of said that I leaned towards Cleveland yesterday. Gavin Williams, not pitching well, but he did have good numbers against the Phillies, and he pitched well, and he outpitched Aaron Nola, who I said might have a little bit of a regression again in that game because he didn't have good numbers against Cleveland. That is what happened. I think the bullpen situation is a little bit of a wash, even though Cleveland did use Gaddis, who is one of their better relievers, but still similar bullpen usage on both sides. And what we're looking at here is Ranger Suarez. I know his numbers are terrible so far this year. 17.18 ERA, 2.45 whip. He only pitched one game. Obviously, his stats are not going to remain this bad, but I thought that he really overperformed at the beginning of the season last year because based on his career statistics, he was going to suffer a big-time regression, and he did last year. He was not good in the second half of the year last year. So I think he might continue to not be good, even though he had a lot of strikeouts in this first game. Against Arizona, who's a good hitting team, he got knocked around. He gave up a ton of hits, ton of runs, walked a couple of guys. It wasn't a good start for him. And against Cleveland, it might not get any easier. 16 at-bats that they have against him. They have a 375 average and 787 OPS. I know it's a small sample size, but I don't really trust Suarez here. Whereas Tanner Bibby or Bibby, I think he's the better pitcher, man. I think his numbers right now are not really indicative of how good he actually is. 4.26 ERA, 1.32 whip so far this year. So yeah, his numbers are not good so far this year, but he had two like really bad starts against Anaheim and Baltimore of all teams, which were both on the road, by the way. So he's been way, way better at home than on the road, including a good start against the Yankees at home. But those road starts are pretty bad, but we're not looking at him on the road here. And yes, he's walked too many guys. He's not allowed too many hits, but he's allowed 9 home runs, 4 of them in that game against Anaheim and 3 in that game against Baltimore. So if you take those out, he's only allowed 2 home runs in the other games, both of them at home, but only 2 home runs at home. 28-16 strikeout walk ratio is a little bit concerning, man. But again, I think he's going to round it to form because, I mean, look at his career numbers. A 1.16 whip, 3.36 ERA. He had 2 basically complete seasons with Cleveland before this with strikeout walk ratio well over 3 across those 2 seasons. So I think he's going to start pitching better, man. And it might happen here against Philly. He has good numbers in 38 at-bats, 15-1 strikeout walk ratio, 158 average, and 416 OPS. So he has pretty much dominated Philly. And like I said, looking at his splits, he has ridiculous splits this year with a 1.53 ERA at home, 6.64 on the road, and he's at home here. 213 opponent batting average at home and 266 on the road. So he has been way, way better at home than on the road. On the road, he's had his 2 really bad starts, both on the road. So I think we can go with Bibby here. He's definitely a home guy here. He's a homer right now. And hopefully he doesn't allow any homers in this one. Philly is up from -102 to -122. Kind of worries me a little bit, but 52% of tickets, 52% of the cash. People kind of thinking they're going to bounce back here against Cleveland, but I just think this pitching matchup is better for Cleveland here. I think Bibby is going to get better, whereas Suarez, I mean, I think he's just not as good as he looked for the first half last year. So we're going to go with Cleveland in that one and hope that it is actually a fading the public situation. I mean, you can get them at a nice underdog price. Baseball underdogs that you think have a little bit of a matchup edge, I think is a good thing. Philly does have the better bats. They have the better offense, but Cleveland has the better bullpen, man. Philly's bullpen has struggled a bit, so that's where we're going there. Yeah, he's a homeboy. He's a homie. They were the Naps. I don't remember. Yeah, is that? I was gonna say, is that true? Yeah, Clint owned it. They were actually the Spiders, like way back in the day, which is a way better name than the Guardians. Still, Texas and Detroit. I'm gonna go under in this game. I got to play here under 7.5. You can find it at -115 right now. I know yesterday's game went under as well, but both bullpens are pretty well rested here, and I think the starting pitching matchup looks pretty good for the under here. Jacob deGrom pitching for Texas, and he's picking up where he left off, man, in his career. He's come back into the majors, and he is pitching well. 36-9 strikeout walk ratio, only 29 hits allowed in 38 innings. Good stuff, especially for a guy who's in his mid-30s now. He's pitching real well. A 1 whip and a 2.61 ERA. He's looking good, although granted, really the only great offense that he faced was the Dodgers, but he actually played really well against them, and his team gave him no run support, and he still lost. So that's really been he hasn't really had many issues. It's the issue with Texas is that their offense has been terrible this year. And against Detroit, not even many guys have even seen him, man, because deGrom has been out of the majors for a couple of years with injuries. But he has 30 at-bats worth against 4 of the Tigers hitters, although one of them is Flaherty, so you should throw him out because he's a pitcher, obviously. But 17-1 strikeout walk ratio against him, 167 average, 360 OPS, and those numbers stay about the same. Even if you take out Flaherty's 0 for 2 there with the strikeout. So deGrom does have the upper hand, I think, and the Tigers hitters that haven't seen him before are going to have to figure him out, and he's this veteran pitcher who's been really great throughout his career. Jack Flaherty, on the other hand, pitching well this season as well. The 1.18 ERA, 3.79 whip. His last start wasn't good in that he gave up 4 earned runs, but he had an 8-1 strikeout walk ratio on that start against Anaheim. So it wasn't all bad. So that strikeout walk ratio still tells you he's actually pitching pretty well. 46-12 on the season is pretty good. He's got more than 1 strikeout per inning. He's allowing fewer than 1 hit per inning. So he is getting it done. He's pitching pretty well. And Texas's offense has just been massively struggling this year. And it's 71 at-bats. They've struggled against Flaherty. 21-5 strikeout walk ratio, 169 average against him, and a 544 OPS. So this looks like it is going to be a pitching duel here. And we're going to go under. And we're going to still take the bullpens in this one, where I think they're rested enough as they didn't get used that much yesterday. Full game under. The totals dropped a little bit from 8 juice to the under to 7.5 juice to the under. So more than a little bit. I mean, there's been some real movement on the under, actually, I think. But I think as long as you get it under the key number of 7.5, I think you're good. 7 is a key number, of course. You want to get under the 7.5, that hook. So if it lands 7, you'll still win the game, of course, because 7 is what you need to break the 3-3 tie. You got 73% of tickets on the under, so the public looks like they're not totally fooled by this either, but 90% of the cash. So I think the real money is coming in the under. Obviously, I'm agreeing with that. That looks like a definite under to me. So that's where we're going with that one. Spiders. Yeah, they should have just gone back to the Spiders if they were going to change the name. They shouldn't have changed it from the Indians, but I'm going to go back and watch Major League, man, just to remember the days when they were the Indians. Great movie, by the way. Debatably, it might be the best baseball movie. I mean, you can weigh in and tell me what baseball movie you think is the best, but I like comedies. Major League, I think, is probably at the top for baseball movies. Sandlot is a classic, though. That's definitely a boys movie. The Sandlot, man. That one is one of my favorites as well. All right, what else? Next up, we got Boston, Kansas City. I got to play in this one, too. Most of my plays are in some of these. I don't have any plays in the late games. Let's just put it that way. I don't think I do. Boston, Kansas City. This game went under yesterday, but I'm still going with an under in this one, too. This is actually my last actual play of the day. But I got to take the bullpens out of the equation, man, because yesterday went 12 innings. Both bullpens got completely run out yesterday. So I don't want any part of these bullpens in this game with how unrested they are. But we can go under. I know it's a little bit dicey to go under 3.5 in the first 5 innings. There's really almost no leeway there, like no room for error. But I think with this starting pitching matchup, I think we're going to be able to get this one to come in at under 3.5. If you want to pay a little bit more for the under 4, I don't know what the price is on that. I'll have to look. Let me see. I got to decide what I want to do. Under 3.5 or under 4 in this one. 4 is a little bit better because it can land on exactly 4 through the first 5 innings, and then you'll at least get a push on it. But look at what we got here, man. We got Garrett Crochet pitching for the Red Sox. I mean, he's a Cy Young candidate, 1.06 whip, 2.02 ERA, a ridiculous strikeout rate, well over 1 per inning, at least way fewer than 1 hit per inning. He's been a little bit too wild. That's been his one issue with 20 walks. But other than that, really, really good. Not allowing a lot of fly balls, which is good in Fenway because you don't want to allow fly balls in Fenway. But we're not even at Fenway here. We're at Kauffman Stadium this time. So, yes, Kansas City is familiar with Crochet because he was on the White Sox last year, but they haven't done well against him in 25 at-bats, 200 average, 659 OPS. So, I mean, Crochet, I think he's going to be able to get it done here in this one. And then on the other side, Cole Reagans is pitching, and he is an ace as well, man, for Kansas City. He's without a doubt their best starter, even though they have a few starters who are actually pitching really well. Kansas City, their pitching has been good this year. It's their offense that's been the issue. 1.15 whip, 3.79 ERA. Reagan's coming off an 11 strikeout performance against the god-awful White Sox. He had 2 bad starts before that, so that shows you that he bounced back. He's rounding back into form here, so I think he's in good form again after that start. That's a good sign. 57 to 11 strikeout walk ratio is even better than Crochet's. Fewer than 1 hit per inning as well. Reagan's obviously is getting it done. And against the Red Sox in 55 at-bats, yeah, he does have too many walks, 8 walks. 5 of them have been Bregman. So Bregman, has walked a lot against him. But other than that, he's allowed a 182 average to the Red Sox and a 631 OPS. So Reagan's has had the upper hand against them too. So the under is what we're going to do, but you got to take the bullpens out of the equation in this one with how wasted they got last night. And I don't mean they got drunk, although maybe they did, is Kansas City wanted a walk-off, which is bad for my Red Sox. Public, surprisingly, actually, is coming in on an over. I'm kind of surprised that they see 2 ace, and not only 2 aces, but 2 ace lefties on the mound here, and they want to go over in this game. Doesn't really make sense. And neither team has been scoring that much, especially Kansas City. And last night, very low scoring game. So surprisingly, the public, 57% of tickets at least on the over, 79% of the cash on the under, and it's dropped from 7.5 now down to 7. Juice the over. So got to get on this first 5 inning play, man. I would probably go up to about maybe minus 120 to get it under 4 if you want to look at it that way. Under in the first 5 innings is the way we want to look at that, though. And the market seems to agree with me on that. Cincinnati and Houston, you got Brady Singer against Lance McCullers. Brady Singer pitching well this year, 1.14 whip, 3.66 ERA. Against Houston in 57 at-bats, good numbers, 211 average, 583 OPS. So there's a lot to like about Singer in this matchup here. He's pitching well, almost 1 strikeout per inning, well under 1 hit allowed per inning. Good stuff out of Singer, even though he's pitching in Great American Ballpark now that he's at Cincinnati, which is not a good pitching park, but he's pitching at Houston in this one. Lance McCullers, I think it's very, very much a question mark we're going to get out of him because he was pitching really well in his career for a while. Or, yeah, not really well, but definitely well throughout his career. And then he got hurt and he missed 2 entire years, almost 3 full seasons in the majors. And now he's making a comeback. And it was a mixed bag for him in his first start. He gave up no runs against the White Sox, but he walked 3 guys and gave up 3 hits, struck out 4. So again, putting too many men on base, he escaped, but I think he is going to continue to get a little bit better. Reds haven't seen much of him in 12 at-bats. 167 average, 397 OPS. That does kind of look like probably the way to play this game would be to play the under. But I believe Houston did kind of torch their bullpen last night to get that game there against the Reds, which I was on this game. Houston, they used 4 relief pitchers. So, I could see a lean to Cincinnati in this one as well because Singer, you kind of know what you're going to get out of him more so than what you're going to get out of McCullers. But McCullers being a total wild card, I don't know that I quite want to do that. Cincinnati is a dog. Houston down from minus 135 to minus 128, 68% tickets, 72% of the cash. Probably would lean under in this game more so than the side. It's flipped from 8 juice to the over to 8 juice to the under. 67% of tickets and only 66% of the cash on the over. So that seems to tell me there is some market movement on the under. That's probably the way I would lean. Houston's bullpen is pretty good. So I'm not even sure that I would even want to try to go first 5 inning on that one. Full game under might actually make sense in that game. Houston's offense really still has not been that impressive this year. Miami and the White Sox. I mean, you got Edward Cabrera going here. Terrible numbers this year. 1.68 whip, 6.92 ERA. I mean, this guy, he just puts way too many men on base. He's getting hit around. He's walking too many guys. He strikes out a lot of guys, but he gives up a lot of hits and he walks a lot of guys. None of that is very good. And against the Chicago White Sox, mediocre numbers, 12 at bats, 250 average, 690 OPS, even though the White Sox can't even hit that well. I think I would trust Shane Smith in this matchup a little bit more, who's off to a really good start as a rookie here. 2.41 ERA, 1.15 whip. He's kind of been like the bright spot on Chicago's team this year, allowing well below 1 hit per inning. Decent strikeout rate, a little bit of a high walk rate, though, has kind of been his issue. He is walking too many guys. But Miami, I mean, they're not really that much of a threat on offense. So I would lean to the White Sox again in that game. And it's a game where it's probably about a pick 'em price, but people did see that the White Sox won last night. Public is not really jumping out of their seats, I don't think, to play Miami either, although you do have 60% of tickets, 62% of the cash on Miami. I would lean to the White Sox in this game, though I prefer Smith over Cabrera, who seems like he just can't get it together. Laying a very short price up from -103 to -105. Cubs and Mets. The Cubs are having to go with an opener approach here, man. I don't know if there's an injury or what the deal is here, but Brad Keller is going to come out of the bullpen to make the start here, and his numbers are mediocre. 1.26 whip, 3.78 ERA, and you're probably only going to get a couple of innings out of him, and then the Cubs are going to go to their bullpen. And the Cubs, their biggest weakness is their bullpen. They got pretty good starting pitching. They got really good hitting. Their bullpen has been a major concern, and that's not good when you're going to go with a bullpen game here, even though a bullpen game can be good and can kind of keep opposing offenses off balance a little bit, having to face different pitchers over and over again. But with the way the Cubs bullpen has performed this year, I don't think it's very good. Keller has not been good against the Mets in 29 at-bats, more walks and strikeouts, 5 walks, 4 strikeouts, 2 home runs left, both to Juan Soto, by the way. Soto 4 for 6 off him with 2 home runs and 3 walks. So again, if you want to look at hits plus runs plus RBIs prop, Juan Soto might start getting it together here for the Mets and crush Brad Keller here, although he's only going to face him probably about once in the game, though. So we'll see if you really want to do that. And then Lindor is 5 for 17 off him. Overall, he's allowed a 379 average and 1,057 OPS to the Mets, which is not good either. Tyler McGill has pitched pretty well for the Mets this year. 2.5 ERA, 1.17 whip. I might be wrong about this guy. I haven't really liked him in the past, but he's got a high strikeout rate, more than 1 per inning, fewer than 1 hit per inning. That's all good. Walk rate slightly high, fly ball rate a little bit high, but overall he's been good. He hasn't allowed more than 4 earned runs in any start, and that was his most recent start, which it worries me a little bit that he's had 2 kind of bad starts in a row, though they were both on the road, so maybe he will bounce back. And one of those was a 9-1 strikeout walk ratio against Washington, so it's not really that bad. So maybe he will bounce back here, but the Cubs are a very difficult offense to face, and they've done well against McGill. 34 at-bats, 294 average, 855 OPS, 13-5 strikeout walk ratio is not that great for McGill either. So I would probably look over in this game. I know I got caught going with the under yesterday, and the game went over, but I think over is probably the way to go with this game, even though it is going to be a square play. 52% of tickets are on the over, but 94% of the cash on the under. So the money is disagreeing with me. And the total slightly down from 9 juice to the under to 8.5 juice to the over. But I think that's probably the way to look. And the cash percentage, surprisingly, is coming in on the Cubs. There's no way that I would want to have my money on the Cubs with a bullpen scenario like that, with Keller being the first one out. I don't like it. Giants in Minnesota. First look at this. Looks like this is going to be a nice game to maybe look towards an under because it's Logan Webb against Joe Ryan. Good starting pitchers. Logan Webb, 1.2 whip, a little bit high, but pretty good. 2.61 ERA, obviously very good. The one thing about Webb is he goes very deep into games. He's like a grinder, man. He goes the most innings per start in the majors. I think that was his stat last year. He had gone the most innings per start out of all the starters across the major leagues last year. He's got a high strikeout rate, more than 1 per inning, 56-13 strikeout walk ratio is also good. Fewer than 1 hit per inning. Yeah, I mean, he's the ace of the Giants staff. There's no question about that. But against Minnesota, he hasn't been great in 29 at-bats. 3 strikeouts to 4 walks, not a good ratio. 276 average is okay, but 846 OPS, a little bit on the higher side. So Webb actually hasn't done well, specifically against Minnesota, hasn't done that great. And Joe Ryan, he's been really good this year as well with a 0.9 whip. That's really good. 2.93 ERA, 47 to 5 strikeout walk ratio is ridiculous. I mean, that's one of the best ratios in Major League Baseball. Well below 1 hit per inning, well over 1 strikeout per inning. Too many fly balls, but other than that, his numbers very, very good. Joe Ryan, he's a good pitcher, man. I mean, there's no question about that. Against the Giants, though, again, his numbers kind of similar to Webb's, are just kind of okay at best. 33 at bats, 273 average, 739 OPS. So getting a little bit into the high OPS territory there. So I don't really trust either pitcher. And Joe Ryan actually had his start pushed back as well because he last pitched on the 2nd. He was slated to start a couple days ago, I think, and for whatever reason, the Twins pushed his start back. And these pitchers, I mean, they're creatures of habit, man. So they like to start games on that, known schedule there. So I think pushing his start back, even though, it's more rest, it might actually throw his schedule off a little bit. Although then again, he is a veteran, so he is probably used to it. So I don't know. I'm not saying he's going to come out and have a necessarily bad game here. I'm just saying that there are reasons to be hesitant about playing this game under. The money is still coming in on the under. 59% of tickets on the over. 82% of the cash on the under. Total sitting at 7, juice to the over. I would still lean to the under in that game, but I have some hesitations about it, some reservations about it. San Diego at Coors Field at Colorado. Matchup of 2 young pitchers who aren't very familiar to the opposing hitters. Kolek against Blaylock. Kolek, his numbers look good so far with a 0 ERA and 1.13 whip. I don't know how trustworthy he is. I mean, he did that at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's not a very good team. We're going to have to see more out of Kolek to see what he does. And he did pitch last year for San Diego, and he came out of the bullpen. So this was, I believe, his first major league start. And he did pretty well. But again, we're going to have to see what he does in this environment of Coors Field, which is tough. And Colorado has actually seen him 5 at bats worth, and they actually have a 600 batting average against him. 1 walk, no strikeouts, and a 1,467 OPS. So Kolek, when he was coming out of the bullpen, didn't do well against Colorado when he saw them. Blaylock for Colorado, very bad numbers this year. 1.46 whip, 8.03 ERA. I mean, Colorado does not have very good pitching, okay? I mean, these numbers are just not good. More than 1 hit per inning. He's not going deep into games at all. He's only gone more than 5 innings once, although it was his most recent start at San Francisco. So maybe that tells you he's kind of trending a little bit in the right direction, but that's not enough for me to want to actually jump in on the guy. I don't want to jump on the guy, man. No homo or yes homo. I don't know. 7 strikeouts, 4 walks. You don't know what you're going to get out of this guy, man. He does surprisingly have good numbers against the Padres when he has faced them in 16 at bats. 1 strikeout to 2 walks is a little bit of a red flag, though. Like very low strikeout rate. 188 average and 465 OPS against them, though. So I don't know what I would want to do with that game, to be honest. That game and the Brewers game there, those games are like both very, very difficult to handicap, those pitching matchups. Dodgers and Arizona, interesting as well. This is a ridiculously high-scoring game. You remember I did say the under might make sense in yesterday's game because Sasaki, I mean, for the Dodgers, he's a guy that just isn't really getting it together yet this season. He's got his nerves there, and Eduardo Rodriguez was certainly not a very trustworthy pitcher either there. So that game went way over, and Ohtani wound up breaking an 11-11 tie with a 3-run home run late in the game for a 14-11 Dodger win. After an outburst like that, you might say maybe the under is going to be a way to look in this game. Although if you do that, I would say you want to only go first 5 innings because Arizona, especially, both teams used a bunch of their relievers yesterday, I think, but Arizona used a lot of their relievers, and Arizona's bullpen is really not very good. So I would go first 5 innings if I did that, but I also really hesitate to play unders at Chase Field, which is a pretty hitter-friendly park. Dustin May is pitching for the Dodgers today, 1.24 whip, 4.36 ERA. Decent numbers. He's been struggling a little bit his last few starts, allowing 3 or more earned runs in each of the last 3, although one of them was against the Cubs on the road, which is a tough assignment. Against the Braves on the road, a somewhat tough assignment as well. He has decent numbers overall, man. I mean, there's fewer than 1 hit per inning. That's a pretty nice stat from him there. Decent strikeout rate, kind of a high walk rate. Against Arizona, he's been actually pretty good in 51 at bats, 176 average, and 458 OPS. So May has actually done really well historically against Arizona. Corbin Burns is pitching for Arizona, and he is trying to bounce back from injury. He had some injury issue where he hasn't pitched since April 30th. So he's been shelved for almost 2 weeks, and he actually was starting to pitch better. He actually hasn't even been that bad this year, to be honest. I mean, he hasn't allowed more than 4 earned runs in any start, and he'd allowed 1 earned run in each of his last 2 starts, including one against the Mets before he got hurt. But he was walking way too many guys, walked more than he struck out in that Mets game. He's got a 28-17 strikeout walk ratio, so his walk number is really, really high, man. Other than that, his numbers are okay. Fewer than 1 hit per inning is good, but well over one. Not well over 1 walk per inning, but more than half a walk per inning is pretty bad. So he's going to have to get it under control. And against the Dodgers, he has done well in the past in 88 at bats, 25-10 strikeout walk ratio. So he has had a little bit of wildness against the Dodgers as well, but 205 average overall, 558 OPS. Those are really good numbers. So there are definitely reasons to kind of like the under, and Burns might actually be pumped to get back out there, man. When you have a guy who's been injured, hasn't pitched for a while, and he's coming back, a lot of times, especially for veteran pitchers, a lot of times like batters will be hesitant to want to play on that guy, but he'll be like pumped to come back. He has his 1.38 whip this year is definitely a concern. That's from all those walks, but 3.58 ERA. I mean, I think he's starting to get it under control. We're going to see Burns pitch decently again. I mean, he's 30 years old, so it's not like he's really old at this point. He's had a really good career so far, so I don't think he's just completely falling off a cliff yet. So I do lean to the under in that game, only in the first 5 innings. Just don't deal with Arizona's bullpen. And don't deal with the bullpens after getting used last night. But again, it is a little bit of a tough play to actually make. Although sometimes when it's a tough play to make, it means it's the right play. But I just can't do it. Where am I looking? Where's the National League? Here it is. The total is actually flipped from 9.5 juice to the under to 9.5 juice to the over. But 75% of tickets on the over and only 73% of cash. You know the public is going to be on the over in this one more so than most other games. I mean, they see this. They don't really know who Dustin May is. They're going to see this, see what the score was last night with 25 runs scored. It's Dodgers. It's D-backs. Public likes overs. So that's probably going to be one of the more public overs of the day. So first 5 under would be the lean there. Baltimore and Anaheim. I mean, this is bad. Kyle Gibson pitching for Baltimore. He's nearing the end of his career, man. And Baltimore, I mean, this starting pitching rotation for Baltimore is so bad. Gibson and Charlie Morton, both basically at the end of their careers, both putting up horrible numbers this year. It's like, why are they still letting them do this to themselves? 2.48 whip, 14 ERA, 14.09. I mean, and he's made 2 starts, but one was against the Yankees. He got absolutely drilled in that game, and maybe you can give him a pass for getting bombed by the Yankees, but didn't pitch well against the Royals either. So Gibson not pitching well here. And against Anaheim, his numbers aren't great. 124 at bats, 274 average, and 753 OPS allowed to them. So that's not good. Anaheim has hit him pretty well, even though their hitting hasn't been good this season for the most part. But and Trout is, of course, now out of the lineup as well, which I believe he wasn't included in those stats, though, because ESPN actually keeps this up to date, which is actually pretty good that they will go with who's on the current roster and not on the DL. So they actually took Trout out of that. And without Trout, Anaheim still hits pretty well against Gibson. Jack Kohanowitz pitching for Anaheim. He's a guy that I liked last year. I liked some of these young pitchers that have decent stuff against hitters that haven't seen them before, but he is just not getting the job done at all. 1.5 whip, 5.79 ERA. You cannot put 1.5 guys on base per inning, man. 20-14 strikeout walk ratio is terrible. He's not really a strikeout pitcher, and I would give him a pass for not being a strikeout pitcher if his other numbers were good, but they're not. He has way too many walks. More than 1 hit per inning is not good either. That's kind of the Mendoza line that I use as far as hits are concerned. The Orioles haven't really seen him before. Only Laureano has ever seen him before, and he is 1 for 3 off him with a home run. But other than that, nobody else on the Orioles lineup has seen Kohanowitz before. The Orioles hitting has actually been really, really bad this year. So, I mean, I might still prefer Kohanowitz in this game because I think his ceiling is way higher than Gibson's. Kohanowitz is the much younger guy here. And the cash percentage is agreeing with me on that. 71% of tickets on Baltimore for whatever reason, I don't even know. And 52% of the cash coming in on Anaheim. I do agree with that cash disparity there. I would lean to Anaheim, but I just can't make a play on this game, man. I mean, the over, I would think, might make sense, but the total has dropped a little from 10 juice to the under to 9.5 juice to the over. 83% of tickets on the over, but only 74% of the cash on the over, which kind of tells me the public is a little bit on the over and less of the cash. Baltimore up from -130 to -143, though. So you're getting more value on Anaheim if you want to. Man, Kyle Gibson, here's the thing, man. The Orioles, with how bad their hitting has been, and Kyle Gibson, with how bad he's been, there's no way that team should be laying a price like this on the road, man. So that's just crazy. Even though Anaheim is certainly not a good team, Kohanowitz hasn't been playing well, but I think there is value on Anaheim at the very least as a home underdog in that situation there, in that matchup there. So that's the lean there. And again, by the way, my boy Sugano on Baltimore got the job done again yesterday. I keep saying, why is everybody shitting on this guy? He's pitching effectively, like start after start. He's getting the job done. Sugano, like, it's just because like his like these guys that look at all these like advanced metrics in baseball, these analytic guys, they don't like him basically just because he doesn't strike guys out. But I'm like, all the rest of his numbers are good, man. He's keeping guys off the base pass. He's just doing it in a different way than striking them out. Sugano has been good, and usually you see these Japanese pitchers have like an adjustment period and they aren't as good in their first season, and they might get a little bit better. But then, of course, the league also kind of figures out how to hit them after that. But still, I think Sugano is probably the most underrated of the Japanese starting pitchers that have come over here, just because everybody's giving him so much shit for not being a strikeout pitcher. But he's my boy, man. Tomoyuki Sugano, whatever his name is. I'm on your side, bro. And then we got Toronto and Seattle to finish this off. Bowden Francis, after he was looking like almost an elite pitcher for the last half of last season, he has really been anything but elite in his last few starts, allowing more than 3 earned runs in all 3 of them, going fewer than 5 innings in all 3 of them against Houston, the Red Sox, and Cleveland. So not really like the greatest lineups that he's facing either. My man Francis is really struggling right now. His strikeout rate is a little bit low. He's allowing more than 1 hit per inning. His walk rate's a bit high, 25 strikeouts, 10 walks, 38 hits allowed in 35 innings, 1.37 whip, 5.66 ERA on the season. That's not going to cut it. And against Seattle, he's got mediocre numbers in 23 at-bats, 261 average, 737 OPS. So he's not in good form right now, and maybe pitching in a pitcher-friendly park like Seattle will help him start turning this around, but I'm not jumping out of my seat to go try to play Bowden Francis here, man. And Toronto did use some of their relief staff last night because they won the game last night. Logan Evans is a complete unknown on the side of the Mariners here. He's a young 23-year-old who is making his, he's a rookie right now, and he's only made 2 starts, and he's walked too many guys. He's got 5 walks and 8 strikeouts in 10 innings, 13 hits allowed and 8 runs allowed. So that's not good. 7.2 ERA, 1.8 whip. However, yeah, he just was way too hittable in that game against Texas. He allowed 11 hits in 5 innings. That's really bad. But he did strike out 5 guys and only walked 2. So, I mean, the numbers aren't all bad there. So I think this guy might actually have some decent stuff and might start turning into something decent. And this Toronto lineup has really, really struggled this year. So Evans might actually do decently against them. And again, you got this young pitcher who is a complete mystery to the opposing hitter. So he might actually have a little bit of the upper hand there. But we do see 76% of tickets and only 66% of the cash coming in on the Mariners. So the public is on the Mariners because they've been playing really well. They're not dissuaded by the fact that the Mariners lost last night. And the one issue, that's the only issue that I have with playing the Mariners is that they're too public here, because I actually like how this sets up for the Mariners, because I think yesterday the Mariners were returning home from a road trip, right? So that was another thing that made it a bad spot for them. When a team returns home from a road trip, as I preach, it tends to be a little bit of a distraction spot. The players get a little bit distracted, having to get back to family life. And if they lose that game, they tend to do a lot better in the next game. And they have a nice refocused performance in the next game. So there are some reasons to like Seattle here, but they're just a bit too public for me. And Bowden Francis, I mean, he could turn into that pitcher again that we saw in the last half of last year at any point again. So I don't know, man. 76% of tickets, only 66% of the cash on Seattle, but they are up from -115 to -125. I won't be getting involved in this one, but that's probably a slight lean to Seattle in that game. And that's going to do it, man. Let's get the last comments here. Charles, yeah, you like Bull Durham. Oh, yeah. So you think it's between Major League and Sandlot as well. Bull Durham, pretty solid movie as well. Another baseball comedy there. The altitude change. So basically, I mean, Colorado, I mean, they're used to playing there, so they do have an advantage a little bit at home. The problem right now is that their roster is just so bad that they can't even really take advantage of it. But in general, I mean, the obvious answer to this is in general that high elevation in Colorado means that fly balls are going to fly further. So it means more home runs, essentially. So you get higher run totals, which is why whenever you see every game at Coors Field, the book puts out a number it's always at least 9.5 or higher on the total. If you ever see a total that's less than that at Coors Field, there's something insane going on. Because even like the best pitchers, they'll throw like a high total up there. So that's really kind of the answer there. But also, again, like the home team just tends to be a little bit more used to it because they play there. So that's what you get with like, you know, the Denver Nuggets and something like that as well, is they're a little bit more used to playing in the elevation. So their home court might have a little bit of a more of an edge, especially late in the game. Because they're more used to it, where the other team might be getting a little bit more tired. And maybe we saw a little bit of that last night. Yeah. And there are some other good baseball movies as well. I don't know if I can think of any. I mean, I think Field of Dreams is overrated. Not really my favorite at all. It's just kind of a weird, sappy movie. I don't really love it. There definitely is some other baseball movies out there, but I don't know, man. But probably still the best sports movie of all time. Any sport is Slapshot, man. I mean, I love Slapshot. Paul Newman, absolutely crazy. Such a hilarious movie. Mr. 3000 with Bernie Mac, R.I.P. That is a decent movie as well. I don't mind that movie. Bernie Mac, definitely a funny dude. Very, very sad. Also in Bad Santa, which is one of the greatest Christmas movies. That's going to do it for me, man. Tower Gang Toad on Twitter, patreon.com/Tower Gang to support the most hilarious podcast out there. You can get Bohemian Grove tickets and come see us late June in the middle of Florida for some live podcasting. We're going to have Sam Tripoli there, Owen Benjamin, Shane Cashman emceeing it. Owen and Sam are headlining each night. Going to be conspiracy and comedy, man. It's the new thing. Conspiracy and comedy align, man, because you have to have a sense of humor to look at these like conspiracy theories or actual conspiracies, and like, I mean, you have to be able to like laugh at these things, and like, you know, to be able to take them seriously, you have to laugh at them, if that makes sense. If you understand what I'm saying, like, you have to have a good sense of humor to even like want to consider that these things might actually be true. Hell yeah. Charles, yeah, I don't know if it's going to happen in October as well. Maybe it will, and we'll bring back Cocktober again with another live reveal there. That's going to do it for me. My plays one more time today are the Boston Celtics. Please help me, God. I hate it when my rooting interests align with my actual betting, where I'm not biased, man. I'm not being a homer here. I'll bet against the Celtics, as you know. I've bet against them. I'll bet against them as much as I bet on them, if not more than I bet on them. It just depends on the circumstance. So Celtics minus the points. Carolina Hurricanes in hockey to win in regulation. Baseball, we got Yankees money line, Indians money line, Texas Detroit under the total, and Boston Kansas City first 5 innings under the total. That's going to do it. Thanks for hanging out, Charles and Andrew. Peace out, guys.